Hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Marriage Matters. This is a podcast where we talk
Yes,
about marriage matters because,
marriage matters.
amen, hallelujah.
Amen.
Those of you who are watching for the very first time, my name is Glenn Coleman, and I'm joined as always by my ever so beautiful, ever so clever, witty, talented wife.
Oh, Tanya Coleman.
Yeah.
I was gonna let you finish. I like that.
Oh, okay. So that's yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So tonight we decided to go live, spend a little
hmm
time with you. So thanks for everyone who's joining us. If you want to share this, definitely share this out. We're going to be talking about a few things,
Yeah.
and
Hopefully, it's a fun conversation.
have a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
join the community, join the conversation. That's what we always say, right?
hmm
So, how have you been this week?
Pretty good. Was it's been a little. I guess just a lot going on, and physically, mentally, a little tired.
Hmm.
But definitely feeling rejuvenated today. This weekend has been good. The sun has been out. Got to check in with some besties today. Kind of a
Hmm.
short visit, so that's always refreshing when you get to connect with your people. So yeah.
Okay, very good. So same here, pretty good week. Um, Busy as usual. I think the older our girls get, the more busy we become.
hmm
Thankfully, Bethany is driving now, and so that kind of takes some of the
That's
pressure off.
helpful.
So, anywho, so we've been sharing comments.
Yeah.
So to this week, the comment of the week.
hmm
So I'm just going to share this is another anonymous comment, and it just says simply, "So good," heart emoji.
Mm-hmm.
Love both, love you both, and marriage matters so much.
Mm-hmm.
Heart emoji. Good stuff.
Amen.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
All
Amen.
right.
Well, we love you too. Whoever you are
Yeah.
that left that comment, we love you too. And I know when I say, "Oh, so good," that means it was good.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I
So
say that, I mean
yeah.
it.
So we just encourage you guys. We do this not just to come on here and just to talk, but
hmm
we really just want to share and create an environment, create an opportunity, create space
I don't know if
for
you guys can hear our child who's gaming with friends online, and she's
yeah,
like really, really loud.
really excited. So,
So
but create a space for couples to come and conversate and chat and just grow, learn, and just be the best version of themselves.
absolutely,
Is that
yeah,
what we do?
that's what we do. That's why we're here.
That's why we're
That's why we
here.
show up.
Yeah. So the
hmm
other thing that we've been doing is every week we've been sharing, because I always say tips and tricks,
hmm
and you used to, I don't know, when we first started, you didn't like my tips and tricks.
Yeah, I'm good with it now.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I added another one, and it's
Yes.
tools.
Yes.
So this is a segment that we want to do called tips, tricks, and
And
tools.
tools.
So you need to come up with a song for that segment that we can play, like
Okay.
something. Do it now.
Right
Go.
now,
Yeah.
tips, tricks, and tools.
Okay. You heard it here first. So tips, tricks, and tips. So what we want to do is give you some tangible things that you can do, that you can practice, employ, deploy
Yes.
to enhance your relationship. So tonight's tips, tricks, and tools is virtual date night. So
Yes.
virtual date night is something that is done. Is it once a quarter or is
I believe they do it
it
once a
once a
quarter.
quarter?
Yeah.
But it's done by our really good friends, Jonathan and Amanda Carminate. I love
Yes.
saying their last name, Carminate.
You want to put an
Um,
accent on it.
and they're just a wonderful couple, and they put on these virtual date nights. And the
hmm
way it works, so Jonathan is a chef.
Yeah, Jonathan's a serious chef.
Yeah,
Like
he
the
he
the
he's
recipes we cook. This is our second one. Have been
yeah,
fire.
so he's like a real chef,
hmm
And so what they do is, they you register, you sign up, they send you the Zoom link. They send you all the
The recipe,
ingredients,
then yeah.
the recipe, and then you go out and get the ingredients, and then you and your spouse are joined, and we're joined by couples all over the U.S., sometimes all over the world, and we prepare the dish together. And Jonathan walks you through the process. So it's an opportunity. So Tanya gets me in the kitchen. So
Yes.
I'm not. I
I'm
don't
so
cook.
appreciative of this.
I don't cook. But I'll get in there and we'll prepare a meal together. And we're talking with other couples, and just there's always some fun questions they ask. And then after you finish your meal, you sit down at the table, and we have more conversation. And so it's just a great opportunity to connect with couples from all over. And it's so amazing. Like last night, we had couples, and it's just we all had some similar,
very similar things going on.
Yeah, and it was just great to just share and just feed off of each other and encourage each other. So definitely, you can find them at Marriage Champion Culture on Instagram, and I think it's the same for Facebook at Marriage.
I believe so.
Champion. Oh, I'm sorry, at Marriage Champ Culture. At Marriage Champ Culture. I know for sure that's their IG handle. So check them out. And again, that's Jonathan and Amanda Carminate. Their virtual date nights are so great. And like I said, you'll get a chance to meet people who you probably wouldn't never have come across otherwise. And it's just great to connect with other couples who are doing what you're doing and just trying to be the best version of themselves, right?
Yeah. And I mean, every couple that we've encountered, this is our second time. I think they've done 3. We missed one. They're Christians, they're believers. The conversation is centered around that, and ways, of how we can grow and encourage each other and pray for one another and all of those different things. So it's pretty cool. And I love Amanda and Jonathan so much. They're just like really good hearted, spirited, refreshing people. So yeah.
All right, so again, that's the virtual date night, and it's hosted by at Marriage Champ Culture on Instagram. I know for sure, but go follow their page and just inquire. I'm pretty sure if you inbox them, they can give you more information about that. So anyway, what are we talking about today?
So I know this is kind of like I think we've talked around this subject before, but I saw this article came into my inbox and I read it. It's a really great article. And I was like, I want to bring this back to the table and maybe we can put a little bit of a different spin on the conversation. Hi, Mama. I see you down there. Hello. So the article was actually from blacklove.com.
Okay.
And it's entitled How to Love a Partner That Has Big Dreams.
Okay.
And when I read it, I kind of thought about our situation in this particular article. They talk about Tabitha and Chance Brown, or Chance and Tabitha Brown. We say Tab's name because she's been well known, I guess, the longest. But we say her name first, is why I said that. But anyhow, they are hosting this 3rd season of Black Love Conversations. And so they kind of talk through some of that and talk through their story about Tab's dreams of becoming an actress and how Chance supported her and things like that. And it just brought back up to me, and we've talked before about our journey with me deciding to go back to school and pursue a master's degree and become a licensed professional counselor, and all of the sacrifices and things like that we've had to make, that you've made in support of me, and of course I made those sacrifices. But what came up for me, I was thinking, when we were earlier in our marriage, I was not the big dreamer, so to speak, not as far as like career aspirations and things like that. I thought my life was going to look a certain way, and I was okay with that. That was my pursuit. But you were the big dreamer.
This is true. I would agree with that.
I would
agree with that.
Producing and music and videos and all of that kind of stuff. Like, you were the big dreamer.
Yeah.
And I was, you were doing what you knew to do at the time, and you were doing some videography, you were producing music, like some of this stuff back here on this wall, well,
Mm-hmm.
all of this stuff back here on this wall, you
Mm-hmm.
produced like music, and
Mm-hmm.
so I was the support person at that time. And
Mm-hmm.
it just came up for me that, like, we have to make sure that we don't stop dreaming.
Yeah, and I think, and I don't know, if I'm getting ahead of it,
Mm-hmm.
but I think for me, I was doing that, and I was pursuing my dreams, and I was, full steam ahead. I think for me, one of the things that changed was um, you and the girls.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that you guys killed my dreams. That's not what I'm
Sure.
saying.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I made the decision to say, okay, um, even though I enjoyed doing what I was doing, it wasn't to the place where it was paying the bills.
Right. Was sustainable.
Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
so I made the decision to get a quote unquote traditional
Mm-hmm.
job, or
Mm-hmm.
9 to 5, whatever you want to call it. And it's not that I've forgotten those dreams,
Mm-hmm.
and I still, in some aspects, chase those or pursue
Mm-hmm.
those, and I are doing some of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for me, I felt a responsibility
Sure.
to to ensure that my family, um, could survive.
Sure.
I guess if I
It's
don't
taken
know.
care of.
Yeah, taken care of. So
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
what it was for me. And actually, we were in church this morning, and heard a message, kind of about that, and
Mm-hmm.
that, those dreams, are not. I mean, was it the message, or maybe it was we was listening to Tab? I can't remember. I think it was both.
Mm-hmm. It was a
You,
combination. We've been listening to some things, I think, over the weekend, and then the message this morning. I think
yeah,
as you're saying it, I'm like, yeah, that does kind of tie into,
yeah, and
yeah.
so, but just understanding that those dreams, they don't go away.
Mm-hmm.
They're still there, and it's never too late. And I'll say this, to the camera: it's never too late for you to pursue the things that you are called to do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And for me, our good friends, Melissa and Kevin Fredericks, are they talk about.
Mm-hmm. Speak that thing, son.
They're not really our good friends, but we say that they are. But they talk about the concept of the kite and the string.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the kite is the person who is the visionary and the dreamer,
Mm-hmm.
and the string is the person who kind of anchors,
Mm-hmm.
the relationship.
Sure.
And yeah, I can definitely see how for us that role has kind of switched a little
Mm-hmm.
bit,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm okay with that,
Mm-hmm.
because I know that, I always tell you this, jokingly, but it's like once you get your thing going, then, I'm doing my kite, and you got what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I get it. Yeah.
my point to you is, those dreams have not died. They are just, um, I wouldn't say they're on the back burner, but I'm just in another mode right now in my
Sure.
life.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, to kind of bring us back to the article,
Okay. My bad. I took
no,
you off.
no, no, you didn't. I went there, but I just want to kind of bring us back to the article. And so they brought up some things that I wanted to talk through a little bit
Okay.
in the live tonight, about when your partner, when your spouse is a big dreamer, like how do we maneuver, how do we manage that process. So one thing that they said was to ask your partner to clarify the vision.
Okay.
And I thought that was so good. Like, what for the visionary or the dreamer in this season, like asking them to clarify what is your vision,
Mm-hmm.
what's your goal, what's the ultimate um purpose in all of this, or where are we going? And
Yeah.
I think that's so good because we can dream and come up with all of these different scenarios and not have a kite string. Like we can
Hmm.
just be a kite just
Hmm.
going anywhere. And I think that that's important. And as you know, as your spouse, as my spouse, then we have the opportunity to quote unquote hold each other accountable in that way,
Hmm.
and to help each other stay grounded and stay rooted or on pace or on track for what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right. So if I think about the process to changing careers, being a school teacher to going back to school, like that part was already laid out,
Hmm.
right? You have to go to school, you're pursuing the master's degree, and whatever that's those 60 hours worth of coursework that you have to do, it's going to take you 2.5 years to
Hmm.
at least to get that done. So for 2.5 years the path was really clear.
Hmm.
And then following that, okay, now um you're still not quote unquote there yet, because now if you're going to be licensed, you have to pursue licensure after graduation,
Hmm.
right? And so now which direction are we going to go for that? And so now being in doing this work for a while, and having multiple opportunities, and now it's kind of like, we're in a place, and where are we going from here?
Hmm.
Point being is that, not to stop dreaming.
Hmm.
I think and some people struggle with this because we've come very far from that history of people working the same jobs for 30, 40 years,
Hmm.
or doing the same type of work for that long, retiring and calling it a day and living off of your retirement. Like we're in a completely different place,
Hmm.
right? And I know for us, and we have of course our private conversations, that there is a lifestyle that we desire to have, a quality of life. Let me say that more so than the lifestyle that we desire to have. And so there is a level of work and being able to not have to be at work, and there's an income level. There are all of these things that need to be in place to get us to where ultimately we want to be. And so that requires for us to continue to dream, to plan, um, but also get clear
Yeah.
on those things.
Yeah, and I think that's a very important part of, pursuing your dream.
Hmm.
Or, first it needs to be a decision that's made by you and your spouse.
Absolutely.
I believe that, you guys really need to come into agreement. You need to give the why behind what
Hmm.
you're doing, and also, have a plan and a strategy. The worst thing that you can do is just, uh, you know run off, and, maybe not run off, but, go and do your own thing and not give your spouse any information.
Absolutely.
And I found that when I give Tanya information, that it helps her to go along with the plan, even though she may not agree with the plan. When I give her the information, when I let her know that I have a plan,
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
uh, in the first place, I think that really helps you,
Hmm.
to go along with it. So yeah, when you're pursuing your dream, or you are with someone who is a dreamer, and they are pursuing this dream, building this business,
Hmm.
this career, whatever it is, it's really important that you guys communication is the key, and
Hmm.
you have to over communicate almost,
Hmm.
and give them all of the, this is how we're going to do this, or, hey, we saved this much money, we can live off of our savings for this long, or,
Sure.
whatever the plan is that you guys come up with, that needs to be communicated. And I think that really helps. So I think that's why clarifying the vision,
Hmm.
is so important, and you kind of both know the direction that you're going to, and you both know what it looks like when you get there.
Yeah, that's good.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes I think we don't even know. It's hard to know how to get there when you don't even know what it's going to look like. So
That's good. That's really good. So the second one, and I mentioned a moment ago, is to hold your partner accountable. Hold that person accountable. If you notice your significant other spending time binge watching shows or scrolling social media, um, and just hanging out with friends or whatever, hold them accountable and bring that to their attention, not in a negative kind of way, but it's kind of like that reminder that, hey, how much time have you spent working on the vision? I
Mm-hmm.
think that's where, with our manpreneur coaches,
Mm-hmm.
um they talk a lot about the planning and the time that you spend with your spouse connecting and making plans for, okay, what's your goals for the day,
Mm-hmm.
what do you plan to accomplish today, how can I support you, how can I help you, that kind of thing, and when do you plan on shutting it off for the day. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think like that is a great roadmap of how you can do that. You can hold each other accountable. So we're checking in. What are the goals for the day for the business? And if you're 9 to 5 still and you're entrepreneuring, then what are your goals for today? What are some things you have to accomplish? Can I support you in any of that? And when do you plan on shutting it down? I think that's a great way of being holding one another accountable
Yeah.
because we're communicating about it.
Yeah. And that's the great thing about marriage, I think, is you have that built-in
Hmm.
accountability,
Hmm.
because that's accountability. Even though I think we shy away from it a lot of
Hmm.
times, it's I think it's key to being successful.
Hmm.
I think number one, you should be accountable to yourself, and you
Hmm.
you know your word should mean something to you,
Hmm.
but also for your spouse, and allowing your spouse to hold you accountable. And it's not that your spouse is trying to boss you around or tell you what to do. It's like they're just making sure that you are doing what you said
Hmm.
that you were going to do. And
Right.
if we come up with a plan and we we execute that plan,
Hmm.
then success is inevitable.
Hmm.
I was talking with a friend of mine today, and he was just saying, he was like, I don't understand why people are jealous in life.
Mm.
He's like, it's simple. You get the information,
Hmm.
you get a plan, and you execute.
Hmm.
He's like, it's that simple.
Hmm.
He's like, I don't understand what the issue is. And I
Hmm.
was like, wow. And he's a very successful man.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so, but in that is know yourself.
Right.
I know, like when it comes to certain things in my life, I know I need a person to hold me accountable, and
Sure.
what better person than my
Yeah,
spouse?
that's good. That's really good.
Mhm.
The third thing is provide tangible support. And how do you show that support? How can a spouse or a partner show, the other person, the visionary or the dreamer, the person who's pursuing the dream? How can we show that person support? How do you think?
Well, first thing I want to do is define the word tangible. I'm pretty sure everybody knows what it means,
Sure.
but it means something that can be perceived.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it's great.
Right.
I do need your prayers. I do need that. But I'm not, and don't come for me. I'm not saying prayer, but if people say, "Oh, well, no prayer,"
Right.
I'm
I know
saying
what you're
I
saying.
need I need your tangible support, and so that could look different for different people.
Mm-hmm.
And the example that I always use is, when you were going back to school to and pursuing your master's. Um, for me, supporting you looked like I knew I had to take on more responsibility in the house,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so to me, that was my way of showing report. That was my way of showing support
Mm-hmm.
for you. And there were a couple other things, but that's what we mean by tangible. It's like physical things that you can do to help your spouse in this pursuit of this next chapter of their lives, of
Absolutely.
our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You also sometimes help to make sure I finish my work. When I was sitting in the bed doing
this is
writing
true.
papers and falling asleep, say, babe, you
Yeah,
can do it, babe. Wake up, wake up.
yeah, definitely.
So the next one is to provide constructive feedback. I thought this was so good. Providing constructive feedback to your partner shows them that you're able to see areas for them to grow and sharpen their craft.
Hmm.
Says, as a dreamer, I crave constructive feedback from someone who knew me well. But then when my partner started giving it to me, I had to learn not to take it personally.
Yeah, and
Praise the Lord.
that even goes, like I said, with accountability, but not
Yeah.
taking it personally,
Hmm.
and to understand feedback. Um, there was a scripture that actually was shared this morning, and
Hmm.
I forgot which scripture it was, but it was the one who said, I think it was Zechariah,
Hmm.
maybe. No, it wasn't Zechariah. I can't remember who it was, but he was saying, he was praying to God. And he says, "I love your discipline."
Hmm. Hmm.
And he basically was saying, "Your discipline leads to life,"
Yeah.
and that's all. And I'm not saying positive feedback. We're not saying discipline, but it's giving you places that you could work on, that you can grow.
Hmm.
Because if you take that on, then you can only the only result of that is better,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know. And so, but it's so easy to get offended when people do give you, especially for whatever reasons. I know for me, sometimes my spouse,
Yeah, definitely.
it
Yeah.
could come off, as a little. Uh, uh, we could perceive it as criticism.
Right.
And there is a difference between criticism and uh, positive
Yeah.
constructive
Constructive.
feedback.
Hmm.
So, and maybe next week I think we're going to talk about that
Okay.
criticism next week. But
Okay. Cool.
yeah.
So the number five
You
was.
you have anything to share about
Oh, I'm
the
sorry.
positive feedback?
I skipped over that, huh? Yeah. Yeah, I think that it definitely is helpful. And like you said, sometimes it can be challenging to take that quote unquote feedback from your spouse, because it does feel like, you're trying to tell me what to do, or, you're being critical or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse
Oh,
me.
you okay?
Hmm. Um, but I think it is important, because who knows you better than your spouse?
Mm-hmm.
They live with you. They
Mm-hmm.
see you, they know you, and especially for people who have done the work to really really know their spouses, then they can see areas where, hey, I don't know if you realize this, but when you approach certain situations, or you're placed in certain situations, and you would tell me this when we first started doing the podcast. It's like, babe, like, you don't have to be so teachy, you don't have to be so stiff, you don't have to, and so you kind of coached me through that. And I would get frustrated sometimes, because I'm just like, I don't know how this is what I do when I'm like in front of people, and
Mm-hmm.
expected to be a certain way. But I think over time, it's like I finally have kind of relaxed and can be more natural. But you actually coach me through that.
And here's something else that, when you said that, brought to mind. It's very important, and this I think feedback helps with, but it's one way. We see ourselves one way,
Mm-hmm.
but the way we're perceived by others is totally different.
Sure.
And so you could be making some very detrimental decisions as it
Mm-hmm.
concerns your dream because of the way you interact with people. And in your mind, you're thinking, I'm okay.
Right.
But sometimes your spouse can say, well, you know what, this when you say that or when you do that, people
Mm-hmm.
don't this is how people
This is how
perceive
you
you.
perceive. Yeah.
And where you're supposed to be making building bridges, you're burning them.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that's one example of how feedback can
Mm-hmm.
really help us. And I always say this, and this is something that I've learned recently, is that when my spouse tells me something, I need to listen. I shouldn't just brush it off, or you know just say, oh no, that's not how I meant it, or whatever. But I need to pay attention to that. So yeah, definitely positive, constructive feedback. So provide constructive. What give us a little bit about what defines constructive feedback.
So I think it gives the person, like, you can kind of show them, hey, this is what I'm seeing. You know, if you, I don't know why I just thought about Legos, but like, if you build something with Legos,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm trying to build a bridge, but it doesn't quite look like a bridge. And then you come in and say, but you know, if you move these pieces
Hmm.
around to this side and flip this one around and connect it here and then add this, then you're gonna have your
Yeah.
bridge. I think it's like that. You know, it's just like I see what you're trying to accomplish. However, I feel like maybe if you shift a little bit or adjust a little bit here, then you can get to where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head when you said the construction of blocks. Constructive. I was gonna say criticism,
Mm-hmm.
but I like the way they put it.
Constructive
Constructive
feedback.
feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Constructive means to construct something. It
Mm-hmm.
means to build something up,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the kind of feedback you want. Feedback that's going to help
Build
build
you
you
up
up.
and
So,
not tear you
if
down.
Tanya were to come to me and say, Glenn, man, you've gotten so fat, you've gained so much weight since we've been married. And I'd be like, well, that may be true, but that's probably not going to motivate me. But if you come to
Right.
me and say, babe, you know, I'm really just concerned about, your health,
Mm-hmm.
and we want you here for a long time. And I just noticed that, you're not as healthy as you were when we
Mm-hmm.
first got married. And hey, what about if we get a gym membership together, we could work out together,
Mm-hmm.
or we could do. So in other words, constructive feedback is feedback that builds up. It's
Yeah.
that
And it
edifies,
doesn't tear down.
and more than anything, it's the motive behind why you're
Right.
doing it.
Right.
You're not doing it out of frustration. You're not doing it out of resentment. You're not doing it out of trying to just tear your spouse down
Sure.
or whoever it is down. You're doing it because I want to help you be better.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
Does that make sense?
Yep. 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 So number five is to be okay with time and space. Giving your spouse the time and space that they need to do the work. One, to process,
Mm-hmm.
they during building stages of anything, you have to put more energy and time into that thing than maybe you will later on
Mm-hmm.
once things are more established and running smoothly. Um, Economically, there can be some time and space in between, the income being where it should be.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the time and spacing can apply to a lot of different areas in that scenario. If your spouse is, doing work where they have to travel to build their business, all of that kind of stuff. We have friends who they help people with life insurance plans and things like that, and sometimes that causes one or both of them to travel. And so being okay with that sort of thing and those adjustments that come into place for what it is that you and that your spouse or that your spouse is called or what they're doing at that time,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
showing that support.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is get comfortable with sacrifice. What do you think about that?
I think that that's I think that is something that we don't talk about enough.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because there is a part of marriage, there's a part of being in a relationship that has to do with
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice. And sometimes, just like I talked earlier about, my dreams, and I mean all these things that and not to say that I can't, like I said earlier, it's not to say that I won't do them or I don't get to do them. I made the choice. You know what? I'm going to work this job. I'm going to stay on this job. I'm going to do this 9 to 5 or whatever you want to call it, and I'm going to have steady income
Mm-hmm.
so that my wife can pursue her dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of people aren't. I talk to people a lot that people aren't just willing to do that for each other,
Sure. Mm-hmm.
and it's like I do it because I love you. I do it because
Mm-hmm.
I want to see you happy, and in in seeing you happy, in seeing you fulfilled, I am fulfilled,
Mm-hmm.
and so it kind of I've exchanged one dream for another. The dream of seeing you happy and fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
That's just as important to me
Mm-hmm.
as any other dream or goal or ambition that I have. So
Sure.
that's why I do what I do,
Mm-hmm.
because I really want to see, you fulfilled, because we're one. We both win.
Yeah.
And
That's good.
so yeah, I'll stop there.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
We both win. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think for the spouse who is the dreamer per se, that to recognize your spouse's sacrifices.
Mhm.
You know, you're not in this if you are married, if you are doing life with this person, you are not doing this dream and this vision by yourself. Yes, it may be your vision, maybe it is your blood, sweat, and tears, but they have stake, as they say, stake in the game. They have, they have a footed
Salt in the game?
salt in the
No,
game.
that's not. That's the wrong
No,
one.
I don't know. Whatever people put in the game.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
they have made sacrifices as well, is what I'm trying
yeah.
to say. You
Mhm.
know, they've sacrificed time with you. They have sacrificed financially if your income is not, where it needs to be to maintain the lifestyle. Like Glenn said, he's worked a steady job, and where I have had, to do internships or, work in certain positions where, just the pay wasn't flowing like it should. And, we built our life on a certain level of income. And when that changes because someone is making a career shift or moving into entrepreneurship and things like that, then we both have buy-in.
Mhm.
It's not just on one person. And so I think it's important to appreciate your spouse and to show them and let them know that you appreciate the sacrifices that they made. I
Mhm.
appreciate every load of laundry that you did during that time,
Mhm.
for making sure that the kids were fed and bathed and in bed and all those different things when I was, in school and have my nose in a book,
Mhm.
all the time. So I definitely appreciate that. Um, Understanding the pressure of holding it down, that won't last forever,
Mhm.
that those sacrifices that you're making won't last forever. I often tell people that we thank God we live in seasons. And
Yeah.
what are seasons guaranteed to do?
Change.
They are guaranteed to change,
Yeah.
right? Seasons are going to always change. We're going to have summer, fall, winter, spring,
Mhm.
and summer, fall, winter, spring again. And if you
Mhm.
live here, you might have them all in one day, is what we say. But yeah, seasons are guaranteed to change. You're not going to be in that sacrificial state or the only one who's quote unquote holding it down and having keeping that steady income
Mhm.
forever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So just remembering that quote unquote this too shall pass. We will be in a different place, in a better place. Things are about to shift and change, and there is a breakthrough coming. Amen.
Yes. We
Amen.
believe we receive.
Yes.
Uh,
You have anything on that one?
no, you said it all. Just knowing that it's a season,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I think that's what helped me, and it's still helping me get through these times.
Mm-hmm.
This is only for a season.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'll say this to the person, to the dreamer,
Mm-hmm.
you have to understand that you cannot keep that person
Mm-hmm.
in the hold it down uh,
Mo.
mode forever.
Right.
That
Right.
needs to end,
Yeah.
and because there inevitably, if one person stays in the hold it down um, mode, what was that?
Just let you know.
Okay, if one person stays in the hold it down mode forever, eventually, probably, most likely, resentment will set in,
Sure.
and it's gonna do some harm to your relationship. And so that's why we go back to number one.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the plan is so important.
Yeah.
And even in that plan, there should be an exit strategy.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, in that plan, there should be exit strategy. So
Yeah.
definitely understand that the pressure of holding it down won't last forever.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so the last one is be ready and open to your partner evolving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so we talk about this one a lot.
Yeah.
I am a true believer in that word becoming. That we are all becoming and evolving, and growing into truly who we were destined and created to be.
Yeah.
You know, I think about people who started, their careers late, that we see it, you know, um, at some point, and it's like, man, they just showed up on the scene, but they've been pursuing this thing for a long time. But by the time we've seen them, they are much older than many of the people who start off in industries that we get to see, a little bit of their lives played out on the screen or on social media and things like that. I think about people who have decided to make career changes, at 30, 40, 50 years old, or people who decided to go back to school, and pursue a college education at 60. And, people are doing this. We're forever becoming, and I'm a big fan of that. Like, don't get stuck.
Yeah. And what I found is, for me, and I don't know if this is true for everyone, but the only time I got frustrated with Tanya's evolving is when I stopped evolving. So I think both of you we always have to be in that mode of being better, getting better. Well, I'm not going to use that example. That may be a bad example, so I'm not going to say that. But anyway, so yeah, we both have to be evolving, and when that happens, you just have to adjust.
Yeah.
You can't force them back into that old way. You just have to grow. You have to grow with them.
Yeah.
And allow them the space and the grace, like you say all the time, to grow. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to talk through that, because I know that, so many people are in a season of transition, and this is kind of like, we've been talking about this for a while, a transition in every, like, so many levels and so many areas of their lives. And so when this article came up in my inbox this week, I was like, we should talk about this on the podcast and just encourage people to stick it out, support one another. Don't stop dreaming. Don't stop believing. Know that you should always be growing and evolving and becoming who God has created and destined you to be, and support one another through that journey, through that process. So that was all.
Okay. Good job. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I think we have to continually have this conversation.
Yes.
Like I said, we have to over communicate in this time, because we can't afford to leave anything unsaid.
Yeah, absolutely.
In this time. So that's all we have for you tonight. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Remember that you can always follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Marriage Matters 0526 on Facebook and Instagram, and then just Marriage Matters on YouTube. Yeah. Likes and subscribe to everywhere, man. Go ahead and like, subscribe,
and share.
We've been thinking about. Well, I'm not going to say that yet. I'm gonna wait till we make the final decision on that. But also, if you like us, we love to listen to podcasts. So if you love listening to podcasts, you can also listen to this to the Marriage Matters podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Google Play, Spotify, Anchor, pretty much everywhere you can listen to podcasts, you can listen to Marriage Matters.
Marriage Matters there.
So you got anything else?
No.
All right. Well, that's all we got. We'll see you next week. And remember, this is Glenn and Tanya Coleman reminding you that your marriage matters. We'll see you next week.
Bye.